Hi, and welcome to the Working Differently in Extension podcast. I'm Bob Birch. Great to have you along for today's conversation, and great to have our guest, Victor Villegas, along as well. Victor is a technology and media support coordinator with Oregon State University Extension Service, and you might also know him as Drone Singer. Victor's involved in the e-extension unmanned aerial systems and agriculture learning network, and has taken his musical talents to the world of unmanned vehicles as well through Drone Singer. Welcome to the podcast, Victor.
Thank you, Bob. Great to be here.
So I think that the thing everybody wants to hear about first is probably Drone Singer. How did you get started making these parody songs about drones?
Yeah, so this was about a year ago. Let's see, Christmas 2014, December 2014. Christmas was coming up. I was looking for a way to put out a PSA, a public service announcement, because I knew a lot of kids and adults would be getting these drones for Christmas, and I wanted to do a safety announcement of how you can fly these things safely and responsibly. So trying to figure out a creative way of getting my message out there versus, the standard boring stuff. And tune popped into my head along with some lyrics. And it's like, oh yeah, that would be really good. Started working on some animation using Powtoon. You heard of that? It's it's a very simple animation program available online. And I was just using the free version, but it's enough for what I needed. And I was working on that. I was going to release it the week of Christmas, when all of a sudden the FAA preempted me with their video the day before I was going to release mine. And it's like, no, what? And so I looked at theirs and it's like, man, theirs is really boring. I can't do any worse. So I worked feverishly through the night, modified mine just a little bit, some of the lyrics to kind of fit what their message was, which was very similar, but I did some tweaks in here and there, did the animation and posted it out the next day, and got some people going, hey, that's pretty cool, we like yours better. Got picked up by a SUAS, which is Small Unmanned Aircraft Systems news. It's a website dedicated to UAS or drones news, and they liked it. Other people, they put it up on their website and people linked to it, and they were saying, hey, can you do any more? And I'm going, well, maybe, I don't know, we'll see. And I thought up another Christmas song with another safety message and put that one up, did an animation, and did another one. By the end of the week, I was on vacation this week, so I had plenty of time to work on it. I believe I did 4 or 5 what I call drone carols. And people loved it, and Drone Singer was born. I just started calling myself Drone Singer online, and kept on putting out songs. I think I've averaged about 2 per month now. So I got like over 20, and probably have another 20 in the hopper. But it's gotten me a lot of attention, not just in extension, but also in the drone community. So a lot of drone fans and whatnot. Hasn't quite gone general public, but I'm actually starting to change it a little bit more towards getting kids interested in STEAM education. So, I'm adding the A in STEM, and that's through the music, through the arts, social media, marketing, teaching, education. That's all what I consider all of that arts, right? So science, technology, engineering, and math, that's great. But you need the arts to get the message out there. And so I'm putting the A in there with my songs. Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting. I think, like you said, you didn't want to do a boring PSA. And I imagine that, has this sort of given you evidence that you use when you're working with extension professionals, as a technology and media person, to sort of, hey, maybe we need to, address things a little bit differently and not just put out a fact sheet about that? Or
definitely. I mean, that's what it became. It became an experiment to show how one person can take something and via social media, via, creative marketing, and see how far I could take it. I mean, I do it with drones, but I could probably do it with dirt. You could compost. We could do it with food. Pretty much anything. You just have to find different ways of being innovative. And there's folks doing that, but any extension, it's few and far between. So I'm kind of trying to set the bar and to be an example of how people can do it. And it's really part of my job. My real job is helping people learn how to use technology to improve their work and their lives and to connect with folks online. So this is an example of how to do that, doing engagement online. I mean, I'll go out on Twitter and I'll look for keywords such as I got a new drone or crashed my drone or drone question or something like that. And I'll find the people and hey, do you have questions? Do you have problems with your drone? And they say, yeah, this is happening and whatnot. Or they're looking for recommendations of, I want to get a drone, but I'm not sure what kind to get. And I'll, ask them, well, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to take photos, videos? So I'll actually answer people's questions, but I do it proactively. I don't wait for them to come to me. I go out looking for them, people that are already asking questions online. And so that's what we should be doing in Extension too, not just waiting for the folks to come to us, because they won't. People are not coming in our front door anymore. They're looking up stuff on Google, and the more content you put out there, the more that you are involved online, the more likelihood that you can come across these folks looking for the answers to their questions.
You brought up the FAA video, and I wonder if you could give listeners just a little bit, especially if they're not, real involved in UAS or drones, like where are we in terms of this regulation landscape as personal or potentially personal users of drones and also professional users?
Right. That's a great question. Everybody's trying to figure that out. Even the FAA. It seems like every day they come up with something different and a new interpretation, and there's new lawsuit. And so as of today, the FAA's stance is that if you're flying these things recreationally, and if you're flying them anything that's above 250 grams, that you have to register with the FAA and get a number you put on your drone. And that's not just, these quadcopters, but it's pretty much anything that's radio controlled and flies in the air. So any RC aircraft, traditional model aircraft, you're going to have to register that, all right, before you can fly. You go to FAA's website, you pay $5, you say, yes, I agree to their stipulations of not flying over 400 feet, flying only during the daytime, keep away at least 5 miles away from an airport, don't fly over people. And then you say, yes, I agree to this. And then they send you a number that you can use on any, as many drones as you have or model aircraft. So that one number covers them all. So that's pretty much recreationally. In terms of commercial, they expect you to register again with them. You get an actual N number, just like a real airplane, which then you put on the aircraft. You're also supposed to submit for and apply for what's called an exemption 333, which basically exempts you from certain manned aircraft rules. And then you have to agree to other stipulations through a COA, which is a certificate of authorization, which says, again, you have to, they've changed it now. It used to be that you could only fly up to 200 feet, which is really strange. They wanted commercial pilots to only fly below 200 feet, and recreational pilots could fly to 400 feet. That didn't make sense. So they just recently changed that, and now it's 400 feet for everybody. They also said you have to stay away at least 500 feet from any structures or people that are not involved in your operation. Looks like they just changed that again. I'm trying to figure out exactly what the distance is now. I think maybe it's about 400 now. Let's see, what else? Oh, yes. So you can get an exemption 333, but whoever is flying the drone actually has to have a pilot certificate. So it doesn't have to be a commercial pilot certificate, but it can be a private pilot. You can even have a balloon pilot certificate. And basically what they want is to make sure that you have the knowledge of the airspace and how it works and all the different types of airspaces and how to read a map with all the air information and whatnot, and communicate with the tower when you need to, if you're within 5 miles of an airport, that type of stuff. Read an aeronautical chart. So they're looking for the aeronautical knowledge. And again, that might change. There's rumors that might change by this summer, where you don't have to have a pilot's license, but maybe a specific drone pilot's license that they're coming up with. But we've yet to see.
So what does that mean for, we brought up the E-Extension UAS and Agriculture Learning Network, and I'll ask you to talk a little bit about that too a little later, but that sounds pretty complicated. If I'm a farmer and I'm like, hey, I think this technology would be cool for me to scout for disease in a field, or keep an eye on my cattle, or whatever that the case might be, that it sounds like kind of some big hurdles to jump.
Yes, unfortunately, Australia and Canada are way ahead of us, because they've actually said it's okay to fly anything that's 2 kilograms and under, which is a fairly size, kind of like a Phantom size, which is your typical quadcopter that most people think of when you say drone. And they have a certificate already for a commercial drone operator. But yeah, in the U.S., they're still trying to figure that out. Like I said, there's a lot of competing factions. The biggest opponents are obviously the professional commercial pilots. They see this somewhat as a threat, because at some point, drones could replace some of those jobs. Crop dusting. I think traditional manned aircraft and unmanned can work together, but right now there's just a lot of fear, and the media just jumps on that, and the FAA is trying to be overly cautious. So I can't blame them for trying to be safe, but yet at the same time, they're not making it easy even for universities like us to do research to find out whether we can do it safely or not. So I mean, it's a double-edged sword here. At agricultural research stations, we have control over the airspace around there, right? I guess you can't call it control, but I mean, we know who's flying in and out of there. So how hard would it be to fly a drone 200 feet off the ground over research crops? How dangerous is that? You're not going to allow any crop dusters in there because you own the crops, right? But they're not making any exceptions for that just yet, and we've been trying to work with them. So there's ways around it. I mean, if you get a certificate of authorization through the FAA, then yes, you can do it. But again, pilot has to be a certified pilot, and you have to jump through a whole bunch of hoops, and that's just the way we have to do it for the moment. The other thing is I'm trying to get kids interested in STEM education using drones, and I can't fly even little tiny, I can't fly this thing outdoors because I don't have a pilot's license. But if I fly it recreationally, I can. Mm-hmm. So it just, incongruities like that make it difficult to do it. So I pretty much do the teaching indoors, in a big gym or something like that, where the FAA does not have any say.
Yeah, interesting. You brought up the media and some of the fear, and I think back to stories that we've heard about close calls with aircraft or things like that. Is recreational use, are drone hobbyists helping or hurting the possibility of using drones for ag and industry?
I think there's a few people that are, I wouldn't call them hobbyists, because most hobbyists are the traditional, AMA members, which do this every week or every weekend. We fly out there, we fly at AMA fields. I am an AMA member, and we follow the AMA rules, which is, again, fly under 400 feet, don't fly over people, a whole bunch of safety stuff. So those people are not the problem. It's the people going out there that say, oh, look, I can buy a drone on Amazon, fairly cheaply. They get it, turn it on and launch it into the air and have no idea about any airspace issues. They just want to take a photo of their house or their apartment or fly around, the park or whatnot, and think that's cool, but have no aeronautical knowledge, no safety, maybe don't even have any type of technology training at all. To them, it's just like a motorized skateboard or a car. Push the button, turn it on, and let it go. The technology on these things is so advanced that they almost fly themselves, and that's cool, but that's also kind of dangerous. It gives a false sense of security. So people say, hey, it's flying itself, and at some point if something goes wrong, they have no idea how to get out of that situation. So it's not necessarily the hobbyists or the commercial folks, but people who just have never done this before and think it's cool, and because it's so easy, they do it. And I'm not sure they're doing it on purpose. I believe most of them are doing it inadvertently, because really there is not much education going out there, and the FAA just says don't do it, don't fly. Well, why don't we have any education on how to fly them safely? I mean, give classes, but again, the FAA does not allow us to do any training because we have to have a certificate, a pilot certificate to do training. I mean, that's just silly. So that's not really helping any safety. That's hampering safety. So education, I think, is what's really lacking. Also with the public, educating folks that these drones are not spies. They're not dropping bombs on people. They're pretty much toys or tools. And the capabilities that they have are not like the big Predator drones. They're terrible for spying. I mean, this one has a wireless camera right here. The video is terrible. This thing only flies for about 6 minutes. It is noisy as heck. It's like a swarm of bees or mosquitoes just coming at you. They're not invisible, and there's just no way you can. They don't have a zoom on the camera. They're made with wide angle lenses. So you can take pictures, landscape pictures. That's really what they're made for. So it's basically, again, it comes back to education. The fear of the unknown is what scares people. And so what I'm trying to do is to teach people that these are not scary things. These are actually very valuable tools that we can use to teach kids valuable skills.
So you mentioned AMA, and AMA what's that stand for?
The Academy of Model Aeronautics.
Right. And so I was going to ask you about how you got involved in the UAS and Ag Learning Network. But you have a background sort of in this, sort of using aeronautics and model aeronautics.
Right. So when I was a kid, I was living in Mexico for a couple of years. My parents went over there to help out at a school, and we had an airstrip right behind our house. And I used to watch the crop dusters land and take off right behind. And I said, one day I'm going to be a pilot. That's what I want to do. I must have been what 10, 11 years old or so. So when I got the chance, after I graduated from high school, I took some flying lessons. I studied to AMP, which is aircraft, airframe and power plant mechanics. I figured that would give me a better chance of becoming a pilot if I knew how to fix them and as well as fly them. So I took 2 years of that, and I was hoping to go into the aeronautical field, either as a mechanic or a pilot or something with airplanes, right? This was back in the late 80s and in Southern California, and there was a big aerospace industry back then, and it just tanked. It just, that's the time when they're starting to close all the military bases, all of the aerospace industry in Southern California started, shutting down, jobs left. And I said, oh, this is not going to go anywhere. The only way I could actually become a pilot now is to get into the military. And, I work classes and I'm against killing. So that wasn't an option for me. So kind of had to give up that dream, and went into graphics technology, learned how to do printing. And desktop publishing was just coming in at that time. And that's what I love technology, and started working with computers, the Mac computers, and did commercial printing for quite a bit. Got my degree in graphics technology. And then saw the internet coming along, and I was like, oh man, I want to jump on that too, but I didn't want, the security of a job here, and I was just watching it carefully. And then desktop video came along, and and it was similar to desktop publishing. It's like, okay, I'm not going to miss that wave. So I bought the equipment, taught myself, learned how to do that. And so that's where my media experience comes from. I'm pretty much self-taught on that. Let's see, did some teaching, doing, video stuff and music. This is where the music comes in. So when I was a kid, I had instruments. My folks had, played piano and guitar and whatnot, and I learned how to play a whole bunch of instruments. I also taught after school programs, teaching guitar and saxophone, percussion, because I play all those instruments. And I flew RC aircraft when I was a kid, but again, left that kind of at the same time that I left aeronautics in general. And when I was getting in after digital video, I started seeing the new model aircraft that were electronic. They had the batteries in them. They weren't gas powered anymore. And I said, ooh, that's pretty cool. I got to get back into modeling. So I got a couple of planes, flew those, really loved it. And then the drones started coming in. I started seeing, these quadcopters, like, whoa, what is that? That's different. So I got one of those, a little small one like this, and learned how to fly that. And then by that time, I was already working here at Oregon State University. And I learned that we were doing research using drones. And so I found out about that. And so that all started coming together. And then this drone singer thing, so now I have my aeronautics, my media via the animation and social media, and my music with the singing. It's kind of a culmination of all my skills put together. So it's kind of fun. I'm having a blast doing it.
Yeah, I think that's great. And, I think a lot of us just think, well, this is my professional life and this is my personal interest. And it just is very interesting when you've had this opportunity to kind of bring all your interests and talents to your jobs. I imagine that's a great feeling.
Oh yeah. I've been very fortunate and able to do that. Again, I love technology. Drones are full of technology. I love education. I love teaching. I love helping folks. And I love music and drones. And, so I get to do it all in my personal life and at work. I mean, the line has blurred so much. I'm not sure what is what anymore. But that makes it fun. I never have a dull day at work. It's awesome. I get to talk to people about technology, just like you.
Yeah, that's I enjoy that too, and these podcasts are an opportunity for me to sort of bring something that I'm interested in into my work as well. So the E-Extension UAS in Ag Learning Networks, you guys had set some priorities for the past year in terms of education and also regulation. How has it been sort of pursuing those priorities, and what have the challenges been?
Well, let's see. The main thing that we were going to do is webinars, and we've been averaging one a month. We've invited different researchers and also some folks in the industry to talk about drone technology, specifically drone use in agriculture. They've been very well received. One of the challenges is a lot of the presenters were spread across different time zones and trying to coordinate that, and the audience trying to find who are the people that are most interested in this. There's some researchers, we open this up to the public, so there's some folks out in the public that also look at them. But not everybody is able to make the day and time that we have the webinars. So what I've seen is there's been probably more connection via social media. So I do a lot of posting on Facebook, and we have a Twitter account, and I've actually seen a lot more engagement on there. Plus our YouTube channel has our webinars broken up into the different little sections. So it's not a whole hour. It might be like just a 15-minute section where one person was presenting just on a certain topic. And those seem to be quite popular. The views keep going up on that. On our Facebook page, I believe we have over 100 and something likes now. And I try to post 3 to 5 times a week, and we get anywhere from 30 to 150 people looking at the different posts. So I also compared it to other Facebook pages that deal with unmanned aircraft systems in agriculture, and we seem to be leading the way in terms of engagement. Oops, sorry about that. I forgot to turn off my phone.
That's okay. What do you think cooperative extension's role will be in this? I think, we're sort of in these very beginning phases, so it makes sense, like, well, we need to educate, we need to research, but kind of going forward with drone technology, how do you see cooperative extension being involved in that?
Well, farmers are still trying to figure it out. Even the industry is trying to figure out. There's several companies that are trying to sell solutions out there, but they're from the tech side of things. There's just programmers, engineers, and whatnot that don't have any agriculture experience whatsoever, and so they're selling a platform, and a supposed solution when there isn't any research behind the application. So I think extension could help out with our researchers to figure out, okay, is this the proper sensors? Are we reading the right stuff? I mean, can we duplicate this over and over, or is it just pretty pictures? Anybody can do pretty pictures, but can you interpret it and turn that data into something valuable and something actionable that the farmer could then take and act upon it to improve his crop yield, right? His production, manage his farm, his fields. So I don't think that all of that has been proven. Yes, we've done some breakthroughs. We're able to detect certain things. For example, we've flown over potato fields and with a couple of different drones, and we were able to detect crop stress before you can even see it visually, right? So we had the special sensor that allowed us to do that. Unfortunately, we don't know what is causing that stress. We can't tell if it's because of drought, or it's too much water, or is it a pest infestation, or any number of other problems that could be. We just know there's a problem, and that in itself is helpful, but it's not helpful enough. So the research still has to be done in trying to figure out, well, let's not just figure out if there's a problem, but what is the problem, right? And that's one of the challenges. So here at Oregon State University, the College of Agriculture is starting to work on different types of sensors, and not so much on the drones themselves, because they're just platforms, right? But it's the sensors and the information you can get to them that's the valuable. And so we're going to be working on different sensors to see if we can pick out those differences, those minute differences, to figure out, oh yeah, that's this particular pest versus this particular pest. They put a different signature, but you have to have a sensor that is fine and has enough resolution that can actually tell the difference between all the different diseases or whatnot. We're not there yet, and I think extension has a role to play in providing that information once we get it.
Right. I think maybe this isn't a question, more of a statement, but one role for extension might be to be a little bit more proactive in this platform and technology than we were with GIS, GPS, big data, to sort of preempt. We're sort of trying to react to the fact that a lot of the big ag companies are controlling that data for farmers and not giving them access to it in the ways that they want to, openly and freely. So is that a danger when we talk about some of these drone platforms in ag as well?
Definitely. Information is, the commodity is being traded, and just like any other information that all those ag companies get, who owns it? And what are they doing with it? And are they selling it to someone else? A lot of concerns from the farmers say, hey, you're taking my information. Is the farmer down the road getting that same information? Do they know what I'm growing? How's that work with competition? What do you guys do with that information? You sell it on the market to someone else. And then I'm starting to get sales calls from people trying to sell you, well, oh, you need more fertilizer because your drone says you need, that type of stuff. So, yeah, that's a big thing to still figure out. Everybody's still struggling with that. And it's not just drones, it's any technology lately. I mean, who owns the tractors themselves, right? I mean, that's been a big thing. Used to be you could buy a tractor right out and it's yours and you could fix it. Well, not anymore. Now, if you buy something from John Deere, it's a high-tech tractor. Yeah, you buy the tractor, but you can't, fix it or modify it anymore because that's proprietary information, and you have to go through a dealer or, a mechanic who has their sponsorship in order to be able to work on it. Because if you work on it, then you're breaking, the law, because you signed when you bought that, yes, I know that this belongs to John Deere and it's not mine. So if it can happen with physical stuff, with data, it's even more challenging to kind of figure that out. So one of the big ones. And if the extension can help with that would be awesome. But I think really we all have to work together, not just extension, but, working with the farmers, working with industry, everybody talking to each other. That's what we need to be doing with the FAA right now too. FAA says, absolutely not, don't do it. And everybody else over here is, well, forget you, let's just do it. And, either side is extreme, and we got to come together somehow to make a benefit for everybody and fly safely, but also be able to advance the technology and allow us to reap the benefits of it, right? Like Australia and Canada and Japan has been doing it for like 20 years. So, yeah, there's precedents, and it's just, it's a challenge.
If people want to learn more about the UAS and Agriculture Learning Network, where can they go to find more information?
So we have a website. It's learnuas.org. And on there, you can find connections to all of our social media. So Twitter feed, Facebook, YouTube. We also put information about our webinars on learnextension.org, e-extension, keep on calling it extension. So you can find when we're doing our webinars on there, and you can also join via e-extension, the learning network itself, and receive emails that we send out. Plus, you can always look me up on Twitter, either as Drone Singer or at OSU EXT Tech. And I take questions and phone calls from folks all the time. I get, researchers and industry. And matter of fact, I'm supposed to, tomorrow morning, I got contacted by a teacher out on the East Coast who has some kids, 7th and 8th grade kids that are interested in drones, and was looking for someone that knew about drones. I saw that on Twitter, and we got in touch, and we're going to do a Skype call tomorrow. So kind of like this, talking about drones with kids.
Sounds great. And when can we expect a new Drone Singer song?
Oh man, I actually have 2 new ones that I'm going to be debuting next week at USA Science and Engineering Festival. I was invited by USDA NIFA to help exhibit at their booth, and we have a little stage show that we're doing. And so I'm going to be singing 2-3 songs about drones there to get kids interested in drone for STEM education.
And Drone Singers on Twitter, on
SoundCloud and Facebook. I have a Facebook page too. So yeah, just type in Drone Singer into Google, one word, and you'll find me somewhere.
Well, Victor, this has been great, and a lot of great information, a lot of fun to talk to you. As always, Victor Villegas is a Technology and Media Support Coordinator at Oregon State University Extension, and he's also one of the leaders of the E-Extension UAS and Agriculture Learning Network, and he's Drone Singer. That should be at the top. I should have led with he's Drone Singer.
No, you finish with that, because that was what people will remember.
There you go. All right. Thanks for joining us, Victor.
Thanks, Bob. It was great talking to you with you.
You've been listening to the Working Differently in Extension podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Remember to check us out on Twitter. It's at WDNEXT. We're on SoundCloud too. It's soundcloud.com/workingdifferently, and the show notes are at bobbirch.com. Thanks again for joining us. We'll talk to you soon.